Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, Steve Roy here, host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you listening here. So if you're a dad, you're listening to this show right now, there's a good chance that you are not entirely happy with some aspect of your health, your fitness, your nutrition. I can tell you firsthand, I've been doing this for a long time, working with dads specifically for, I guess now 7 years. So many of us try to do it alone. We have this whole lone wolf mentality where we think we can just suck it up and do it ourselves. We're strong enough. And I tell you, in most cases, it just does not work. What we're doing isn't working. And if you're struggling with some aspect of your health, whether you're, 20 pounds overweight or you're feeling weak or you're sick all the time or your energy sucks, right? Something's not working. So something has to change. And from my experience, becoming part of a like-minded tribe of people or guys is one of the keys to making that change. We do a couple different things in our groups. We've got a free private Facebook group called the Fit Dad Base Camp, and we also have our private membership program called the Fit Dad Nation Inner Circle, where we do a lot of stuff in there, including monthly challenges that really help you get back on track and stay there. So you can check that out at fitdadnation.com/inner circle. So I sent out an email the other day, and I have a couple different email lists. And I sent this one out the other day, and I put a lot of time into it, and I was really thinking about how to help the most amount of people. And so I put together a list of things that I felt people really get stuck on a lot. And the email did really well. A lot of people responded to it and thanked me for sending it out and saying, hey, this is what I really needed to hear. And so I wanted to share that with you today and go over some of the points that I made, because as you guys know, if you follow me for any amount of time, I'm not here to pitch you on anything, sell you any particular program or diet or lifestyle. It's just about focusing on the basics and just staying really, really consistent with it. And so, when I put together this email, I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to keep it just being honest with people on what it is it takes to improve your health and your fitness and your lifestyle, and then make it a habit and make it permanent. And so you can live that way. After all, we're not interested in, losing a bunch of weight and then gaining it back or doing short-term things. We're interested in living a very healthy and high-quality lifestyle. I mean, that's what we want, right? We want all those things that come with it, right? More confidence, feeling better about yourself, having better sex, being a better role model, having way more energy throughout the day, right? These are important things to us dads, and they don't happen by accident because our lifestyles, for the most part, suck as far, in terms of living a healthy day-to-day existence. So you have to make some changes and you have to put in some work, but what's the alternative really? I mean, seriously. So, my first point in this email was you're not predetermined, you're not destined to be the chubby guy, overweight, soft, squishy, weak, all those things, right? And sometimes people they give up and they say, well, I guess, I'm just meant to be this way. And, if you're going to give up that easily, there's nothing I can do for you, but I can tell you just from experience, I've been doing this for a very long time, working with clients in person, online. I've run gyms, I've taught boot camps, I've worked in big box gyms, I've worked in small country club settings, I've taught all kinds of folks, the morbidly obese to extremely fit triathlon type people. And so I can tell you that you're not destined to be a certain way. So please get that out of your head if you think, well, this is just the hand I was dealt. Absolutely not. I was literally a skinny little bitch for most of my life. I was like 118 pounds in high school as a senior. I think I was like 5'6". Little twig. I had no muscle. I mean, and I've shared this before. I literally looked like a 12-year-old girl with my shirt off as a senior. When other kids, they've got hairy chests, beards, obviously they went through puberty far before I did. And, I hadn't even hit puberty as a senior. And, I was picked on, bullied, and I've talked about that before. But I worked my ass off. Once I got into my early 20s, and I started to develop a little bit, I ended up hanging around with some guys that were gym rats, and we just went all the time. And I just started training hard. I fell in love with it, and it just never stopped. But it took me, I'm not kidding when I say probably, 22, a good 8 years before I could even get up over 160 pounds. And that's, eating like a horse, trying, all kinds of programs, taking supplements back then, Rip Fuel, Carb Fuel. I'm trying to remember the names of some of the stuff, the Myoplex shakes. I'd eat like a horse. And I thought, well, I'm just going to be this skinny twerp my whole life. And, it just hasn't played out that way. So now, I was up over 200 pounds recently, and now I'm actually trying to scale things back and lose weight instead of gain it. And, it's just because I didn't give up, when I was much smaller and say, it's a waste of my time to train. I'm never going to get any bigger. I'm never going to get any stronger. It's not the case at all. So just please put that out of your head. Okay. Second point I want to make is a lot of people vilify certain macronutrients, specifically carbs, right? People think that you have to give up carbs, you have to eat like super low calorie diets, or you have to give up all the foods that you love in order to be successful. And I'm just saying, from experience, none of these things are true. It's really difficult because a lot of people on Instagram or social media or Facebook preaching different things. And the most part, it's just because people are trying to sell you stuff. And there's one guy in particular, Drew Manning. He is the fit to fat to fit guy. I see him pop up now and then. Seems like a nice enough guy, but the problem is he just preaches keto like it's the only solution. And then the only reason why he was able to go from fit to fat to fit was the keto diet, which is absolutely ridiculous. He could have done that with any diet. I know one of my old clients actually bought his program, and it was a joke, and so stuff like that, it just really frustrates me. There's so many cases like that where people are just saying this is the way. And the reason they do that is because it sells, right? I don't sell a particular program that says you have to eat this way. This is the best way. I just don't believe in that. But in order to make money online, you have to take a stance. You have to be sometimes polarizing, and you have to stand out as, being the quote unquote expert in a particular field. This guy claims to be the keto expert, which, he probably isn't any more seasoned than a lot of us with the keto diet. But anyway, you don't need any of these extremes at all. And I will say that, everyone says, oh, just eat in moderation, and while that is technically true, a lot of people can't just eat and eat. I'm just going to have half a Snickers bar. I'm going to have half of this soda. I'm going to have half of these fries, right? It's very hard to do that. I'm an all or none person. So it's a very personal thing of how you approach your diet, how you approach your training. And it doesn't have to be all or none. And it's something that you need to figure out for yourself. Some people love a vegetarian or vegan diet. Some people do well with keto. Some people do well with carnivore. Some people do well with Mediterranean or paleo. And you just have to give it a shot and see what works for you, because ultimately it has to get you results. It has to be healthy, and it has to be sustainable for it to work. So find what it is that works and covers all three bases, and then, just seriously go from there. My third point was, in order to change your body, you have to change your lifestyle. So you cannot expect to buy a program off the internet for $100 or $50 or $20. Do it for a short period of time and call that success, right? As I said in the beginning of the show, you have to change your lifestyle, and that's comes down to your day-to-day habits, which take time. You've spent years, some of you, pretty much your entire adult lives, even, in the childhood, creating unhealthy habits that aren't serving you. And your job is to turn those around, switch them up. And that's not easy. They're ingrained in every part of your being. You're doing these certain things that are hurting you. And so now, you're going to be asked to change that. And it takes time. It takes work. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to want to quit. You may even quit multiple times and revert right back to what it is that you were doing. But if you're looking for permanent change, lasting change, you have to work on yourself first. You have to look at your lifestyle factors, and you just have to just make seriously better choices. You don't have to be perfect by any means. I'm not perfect at all. So I'll be 50 here in a couple months. I keep pretty fit. I always have, for the last, 20 some odd years or whatever. And it's just because I've been consistent with it. I have lots of times. I've had months where I've fallen off the wagon just from various things, injuries or whatever, divorce, custody issues, like stresses, things that are just really taking me down. And, I bounce right back after, X number of weeks or months or whatever it is. And it's just, that's what it comes down to is making those better choices on a consistent basis, right? You're going to have days where you just eat, a number one at McDonald's in about 30 seconds and, have 4,000 calories, 5,000 calories in a day of junk food. You're going to feel like shit. These things happen. You just have to seriously look at the bigger picture. Okay, don't beat yourself up. Don't go crazy and say, I have to give up every single thing that I love. Just start replacing one habit with another. Take it day by day. If it takes you months to replace your habits, that's fine. Think about it. This is your life. You have nothing else except your health. So, take your time and seriously just do it the right way. Yeah. And conversation I've had many, many times is people thinking that they need to weigh all their foods or spend hours in the kitchen prepping. They've got to eat organic, which is really expensive, or they have to count every single calorie, which is a pain in the fucking ass, right? That's not necessarily true. Can those things help? Sure. I do advise people that are stuck and they can't seem to lose weight to start counting the calories, because chances are they're overeating. And the only way to really know if you're overeating is by counting your calories and, of course, knowing how many calories you need to start with. But I will tell you, when it comes to fitness, especially nutrition, simple is better. I'm serious. The easier you make this for yourself, the better chance you have of succeeding. It's really comes down to that. And I'm not oversimplifying this message. I'm serious, especially as guys. We want simple, as few steps as possible. We don't want to burn 1 million calories trying to think about all the shit we have to do. We don't want to get overwhelmed by the thoughts of, trying to cook something for dinner for you and the family that has 14 different ingredients, or you trying to make something different and your family something else because they're not going to eat what you're eating, or you can't eat what they're eating, and all that shit, right? That's just overwhelming, confusing. It's a pain in the ass, and it doesn't work in the long term. It can work in the short term if you're super motivated, but in the long term, you got to be realistic here. And I don't want to spend all day in the kitchen. I have a handful of recipes that I cook, maybe 6, 8 things that I kind of cycle. I almost have the same breakfast every day, just because it covers the bases I want. I enjoy it. It's good. I don't get sick of it. It's healthy, and it's simple for me. And that's I'll eat bacon. I'll eat 4 eggs with a little bit of cheese and some salsa, and I'll have some berries. It's pretty basic stuff. That's just me. But don't think that you have to go crazy with this stuff to make it work. Just start eating more sensible. Seriously, 80% of the time, if you're eating well, 80% of the time, the other 20, you can get away with the other stuff that you really, really enjoy, but it has to be consistent. Don't eat 80-20 for a week and then go back to eating, 50-50. I'm talking about a very consistent 80-20. That's what'll work. This is the point that I put out there that it's kind of strange to me how people still think this, but I've had a lot of conversation with people saying that they're stuck. They can't lose any more weight, but they're only eating 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories. And, years ago when the whole starvation mode or starvation response was super popular, everybody believed that undereating actually caused your metabolism to slow or, really slow down to a crawl, where it just basically conserved everything and held on to weight, right? That's been disproven. There's a lot of talk about that online. And, it's just honestly, when it comes down to this situation, if you let's call you a 200-pound guy, you've been eating salads and chicken breasts and tuna and broccoli and sweet potatoes, and you say you're only eating 1,500 calories a day, and you've been doing it for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and you haven't lost any weight, there's a 99% chance you're overeating. And you can overeat healthy foods, so that's certainly possible. It's easy to overeat healthy foods too, especially starchy foods or oils, fats, which have a lot more calories. If you're having oil-based dressings, you're eating a lot of nuts or nut butters, it's easy to get yourself into a surplus. And the key is here, look at how many calories you're eating over time. Okay, you may have 1,500, but then the weekends come and you're like, well, I've done really well, and you kind of let it go, right? You have 2 pieces of pizza or a Philly cheesesteak, and then maybe a side of fries, maybe just a couple bites of ice cream, a couple beers, maybe a little bit of chips and salsa. And, before you know it, and you're not counting now because you've done so well all week that you've eaten 3,500 calories each day. And now for the week, you're in a surplus. Now you're not losing weight and you're wondering why. And then after a month, you're like, fuck this. I'm not eating healthy anymore because I'm doing all this great stuff. I'm not losing any weight. It's not working. I'm just going to go back to eating whatever I want to eat because I'm tired of sacrificing. Okay, that happens a lot. And you just have to look at the bigger picture. Number one, you're doing a good thing by eating healthy. So right there, that's the important piece, right? The typical American diet is fucking garbage, absolute garbage. But number two is if you're not losing weight on a low-calorie diet, you're not eating low calories. I mean, that's unless you have some kind of crazy hormonal issue, thyroid, there's something going on inside your body that's preventing you from losing weight, which does happen, you're overeating. Okay, so you can do one of two things, or both. You can eat fewer calories, exercise more to burn more calories, or do both of those at the same time. And honestly, 99% of the time, that's all that comes down to is doing that. So in this case, if you're struggling, you really, really think you're eating you're eating low calories, it's under your maintenance level, start counting them. Because if you're honest with yourself and you're really counting everything week after week after week, do this for, 3-4 weeks, you're going to find that you're overeating, and that's why you are not losing weight. So 9 times out of 10, that's going to fix everything. Another big point I made here, and this is absolutely critical, and I don't think enough guys pay attention to this, but regardless of your goal, if it's to lose fat, a bunch of weight, if you want to add lean muscle tissue, get bigger, bulky, or whatever, you have to make strength training your priority. You have to, that's number one on your list, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your goal is, you want more muscle. Okay, you're not going to get big and bulky. It's just not going to happen by accident. You're not going to turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger by doing strength training, man or woman. Okay, that takes a lot more than just doing strength training a couple days a week. But you have to make that a priority. And by strength training, I mean you're progressively overloading your muscles 3-4 times a week. You can do whatever kind of split you want, but just focus on big, heavy movements, right? Squats and deadlifts, lunges, pull-ups, push-ups, presses, sled pushes, sprints, and carries. Just those handful of things I just said. There's a million variations of each. You can have a phenomenal strength program, 3-4 days a week. And then, supplement it with whatever you want, some kind of cardio. Walk every day, go hiking, biking, throw in HIIT, metabolic conditioning, whatever. You can supplement that absolutely to improve your cardiovascular health. That's important as well. But I would seriously, and I tell everybody this, my clients, make strength training your absolute number one priority and stick with it. Okay. Lastly, I'll say, regardless of what you've read, and I just hate the thought of these fucking fake coaches on social media spouting all this fucking garbage. You do not need any particular diet. You don't need a meal plan. You don't need any particular training program. There's not one thing that is going to be the answer for you. You really just have to do a couple things. Is just start taking care of your body, make better choices, stop eating like an asshole, and just start working on your day-to-day lifestyle stuff, right? I mean, move more, sit less, right? Get outside in fresh air, okay? Get more sleep. Drink more water and less soda. hit the gym, train hard, push yourself a little bit every day, right? This is what I teach. These are the basics. If you can just stick with these things and don't get caught up in everything else, the marketing, it's very easy to get caught up in the hype online. If you can just follow some basics like this, I promise you're going to get results. It's not complicated at all. I'm not trying to pitch you on anything here. I'm not selling you anything. I'm just telling you straight up experience. Like I said, I've been doing this since 1997. I don't have an agenda here. I just want to just be honest with you. There's nothing fancy about, there's nothing sexy about getting fit. It's just a handful of boring stuff that you do over and over and over and over and over and over for years. Okay. The reason why that we see so many flashy things and exciting things and these unique programs and these crazy diets is because someone's selling you something. I mean, that's the business, right? If you just sold a few basic things like I just told you about, you cannot package it in a way that makes it sound amazing because it's fucking boring and there's not much to it. So people have to spice it up and create fictional programs and crazy sweet potato diets or mushroom diets. Just nonsense to make money because novelty sells. Just please keep that in mind. So anyway, hope this helped. If you have any questions at all, if you ever want to reach out to me, you can find me on social at the Fit Dad Nation, although I told you I'm really kind of disgruntled by social media, but I'm still there checking my messages. You can always hit me up on email to steve@fitdadnation.com. Talk to you next week.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.